Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the Rock Rebellion. We are in 2014, about a month in. I've got Eric Hunker on the phone. We're going to talk about some news. I guess first off, let's talk about the Grammys that happened last month with 9 Inch Nails and Queens of the Stone Age getting cut off in the middle of their Grammy performance. I guess it's a good thing that rock and metal got on the air finally. But it's still a big slap in the face. Is it a bigger slap in the face to be on the air and then get cut off, or to just not be on the air at all? I mean,
I think it's kind of worse to be on and get cut off. I mean, that's a real kick right there, man. Not cool.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd have thought that after the Metallica fiasco back in '92, that they'd have learned their lesson and made sure that they paid proper respects to that genre.
Right, but they haven't been paying proper respects to that genre probably.
No, they never do.
At least 20 years. I mean,
yeah,
they only they group rock and metal into one category. When Hillstorm's awesome, but when they're winning best metal performance, you know, they're a rock. Yeah. They're not metal. They're rock. Imagine Dragons and Mumford & Sons aren't rock. They're alternative pop and top 40, you know, maybe folk rock at best. And so they've got it all sorts of ass backwards. And especially if bands like 9 Inch Nails, you know, as prolific as they are, deserve all of the time in the world. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Why would they...
Yeah.
I understand that they had to get their commercial time in, but then they should have given them less stage time. Or, you know, instead of cutting them off. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean,
the only consolation to it is that the Grammys as a whole are a joke.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
you know what I mean? It's like not winning the Golden Boob Award. You know what I mean? Who cares?
Right. I mean, in the words of Trent Reznor, music's biggest night to be disrespected, a heartfelt fuck you guys. That pretty much sums that up right there. Yeah, exactly.
It's a yet another great big middle finger. You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the brighter side, Katy Perry had a pretty damn good performance. It was people saying it was satanic and stuff like that. I mean, that's kind of cool. So
that's the best thing that the religious nuts will find Satanism in just about anything.
Well, Satan sells. So
yeah, it does. You know what I mean? And even for Katy Perry, even if it's Satanism, that's still publicity.
Right. And then Josh from Queens of the Stone Age, I guess, Queens performed last night, and I guess on stage he had a tirade. They're saying it was a tirade. I think it was more just stating as it is. He says, "The next song is by Imagine Dragons. Just fucking kidding. Gotta admit, you're all Imagine Dragons right now. You know, fuck everything, fuck the man, fuck Imagine Dragons, fuck the Grammys, fuck all this shit. Yeah. Fuck Indeed, of course. You know." So,
yeah. The sad thing is you can't actually get all those fuck yous out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a meltdown on stage, but it'd just be cut, edited, or bleeped. You know what? If he had a long enough meltdown and they had to cut that time, then maybe the band could have played the whole set.
Well, I mean, what was it? Green Day, 2 years ago had Billy Joe had that meltdown on stage of the iHeart Music Festival, and so, but then he had to enter rehab. So,
it kind of takes the wind out of the sails of that rant, you know what I mean? To just find out, that wasn't even an educated rant. That was just him on heavy drugs.
Yeah, he was just loaded. It wasn't as good. But yeah, point being, fuck the Grammys. I mean, if they're not going to give rock and metal the proper respect, they'll just go out and form their own Grammys, the Golden Gods, which is a million times better than the Grammys and gives everybody in that genre the respect they deserve.
Right. And you know, the other thing with the Grammys is if you don't want to pay respect to that genre, just drop the genre. Don't even give it a category. They don't give an award to every single style of music's out there by any means.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would probably be the best way to do it. I mean, they obviously
just forget it.
They obviously don't care about anything rock and metal. So
just remove it.
Yeah.
And then the fans know not to even bother to tune in or try to vote or whatever, you know what I mean? Okay, fine, you're shunning us, we shun you, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got our own award show. We don't need the Grammys anymore. So why even give us a portion of the show when they obviously don't give a shit about us anyway? You know.
And you know what? The people who are actually in that crowd to watch the performance, I'm sure that there's truly only a handful of metalheads who were lucky enough to get there. The rest of it is a bunch of airheaded pop fans who give a shit less if Metallica played at the Grammys, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Metallica is like the go-to metal band for anyone who isn't into metal, doesn't know anything about it. They've heard of Metallica. And so, you know, I'm interested to hear what Clown from Slipknot thought of it, because he was there. He was at the Grammys. He showed up. And apparently no one knows who Slipknot is, because I saw a picture floating around online the day after the Grammys. It was Clown. And the caption, I think it may have been on Billboard even, I could be wrong, but it said, "Creepy Clown invades Grammys." They didn't even know.
Oh, really?
They didn't even know who he was. So,
yeah, that right there, boom, perfect indicator of how clueless they are.
Yeah, exactly. And he's a Grammy winner.
Major metal stars like Tom Araya and Jeff Hanneman could be walking around backstage at the Grammys, and security would throw them out if they didn't have a pass. Who the hell are you?
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that Jeff Hanneman didn't even get mentioned in the Grammy winners who passed away in the last year, the fact he wasn't even mentioned, is just yet another big slap in the face. I mean, no one knows. They obviously don't care. I don't think that they don't care about it. I think that they don't know that rock and metal is still a major genre, I think is what it is.
Hell, I don't even think when Dio died a couple years that was anything considered in the Grammys, which is an absolute show of, if that's true, that they're really clueless.
I think that the metal is stereotyped in the pop world, and I mean when they announced the platinum records for 2012 or 13, I think it was 2012, Skillet, then Mumford and Sons, and the Black Keys. Skillet's the only one in there that's actually a rock band. The other two are not rock bands. Mumford and Sons is not rock. The fact that they are considered rock by the general society shows that they're just clueless. I think they think they like rock, but they don't know what rock really is. They don't know what metal really is. They think metal is just satanic screaming, basically, and that's what they think it is. They're afraid of it.
I think rock kind of has the same stigma as metal these days. It's expanded to such a degree and encompass so many genres that things that aren't really metal are being considered metal, and things that aren't really rock are being considered rock.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think it's going to take for rock and metal to really fight? I don't even think it's ever really going to come back to the level it was in the 80s when Guns and Poison and Crue were, at the height.
Now, you know what? Here's the thing. In terms of money and everything, it doesn't appear to be as popular, but that's just because of the way the industry is set up and the way that people get their music.
Yeah.
Rock and roll it's got staying power. It's the main basis of so many musics coming right out of the blues and early, you know what I mean? Rock is so strong that it will always be there, but it might not show so much in numbers. It's always going to be there, though, and you know yourself, because you're a metal fan. Metal fans are the most rabid and dedicated on the planet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They go to the umpteenth degree in their passion over a band. Mm-hmm. It's insane. So I think that metal and rock will always have a very, very strong core base, but it's never going to look like it's as popular as it really is compared to shit like Katy Perry and all that stuff. That's so popular and is just selling a million copies in a million different ways. It doesn't matter how that music's received. That, when you compare that to metal, it's apples and oranges, man. Mm-hmm. Metal and rock are never going to look that popular, but the fact of the matter is they have a stronger core base, because as the fads come and go and the trends come and go, those fans in that genre, rock and roll, is always there. It's always a base. Mm-hmm. Not going anywhere.
Exactly. Now moving on, it was just announced the other day that Doyle Wolfgang von Frankenstein is going to try and settle the feud between Jerry Only and Glenn Danzig and try and get an original Misfits reunion back together. And
that would be great.
It would be great, but I don't see it actually happening anytime in the near future. It's going to take a lot of money for that to happen.
It's bad. I wish I knew. I wish there was some kind of inkling as to how the tour went last year when Glenn went out and had Doyle with him, and they were doing like 13 songs of the Misfits stuff. And like they came to Pittsburgh. I saw them here, and it was amazing. And the second half, the Misfits half, was clearly the crowd favorite. It was so well received, and it seemed like they had got along very well on stage, Danzig and Doyle. And I'm just wondering. I wish I had. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall to see how that really went, because that would be the indicator if there was truly any hope at all.
Yeah, and from what I understand, Doyle and Glenn get along pretty well for the most part. They have a good working relationship, at least on the business side. And so I would imagine that it went well. I think it's Jerry Only. I think is the one that's going to have to give a little bit. I mean, Danzig.
Yeah, that's the big. I think other than dollar signs, I can't see those guys doing it for anything. And the bummer is, if they do it for just the cash, then you're going to get a crummy show.
Yeah, well, I mean, the way I look at it, Glenn pretty much he created the Misfits. He's the founder. He's the godfather of the Misfits. If it were to happen, it's only right that Jerry Only sets his ego aside and lets Glenn come in just for one tour, one show, even if it's just a one-off show like the Family Values was, or if it's a one festival thing. Let Glenn come in and run the reunion, since he ran the Misfits and pretty much created them. Let him do it. And then he leaves. After it's done, fans are happy, they got their fix. Jerry Only has his Misfits again. Just set it aside for one tour. I mean,
yeah, or at least a couple shows. You know what I mean? If they only did one show, oh my God, the scramble to try to get a ticket to that would be insane, and the fans who couldn't make it would be even more pissed off that there was that small of a reunion. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and that would lead to another. If enough fans want it, and if they could guarantee a sellout show every show, I think that they would do it. I mean, they don't have to get along. People just want to see the members on stage one last time.
Right. But hopefully be able to at least make it look like they're up there having a good time, even if they don't interact all that much. At least give me a good performance. You might not have to do your shit together, but please do your half of that in your portion to the best of your ability.
I think that Doyle realizes that with how far into their careers they all are, I think Doyle realizes that the window of opportunity on that reunion is slowly closing. And I think he's starting to see that if it's going to happen, it has to be in the next couple of years. Because as you get older in your career, your musical talent dwindles a little bit. And there's going to reach a point you're not going to be able to play those fast, thrash punk songs as well as you used to be able to. And I think he realizes that, and he wants to make it happen before it's too late.
I would hope, yeah, because like I said, when I saw him at the end of last year, while Glenn still put on a great performance, you could see he was showing his age a little. He had lost a little, not to be insultive, because he's a great guy, but he's a great front man. I mean, but it looked to me like he had lost a little. While Doyle seemed like he might have actually been more energetic than he used to be, if that's possible. That guy is just a madhouse on the stage.
Doyle doesn't age. I mean...
No, honest to God, if you would compare a side-by-side of a picture of him now with one from 20 years ago, I guarantee you would see very, very slight difference.
He almost looks better than he did 20 years ago.
Well, you know what? He's living a really much cleaner lifestyle and everything too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the dude looks like he's chiseled out of stone.
Yeah, exactly. He can compete in a bodybuilding competition. The guy's he's rock hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this Misfits reunion happens sometime. Even if you're not big on the Misfits, you at least know what they brought to the table and the legacy that they had. And in all honesty, I personally think that if the Misfits legacy is going to be anywhere near respectable at the end of the day, there has to be a Misfits reunion. Because the Misfits lineup now, it may be good, but it's not the Misfits. It's just Jerry Only.
The the other thing is there's not only the diehard Misfits fans who are dying for it. Over the last 20, almost 30 years, a whole new 3 generations of new Misfits fans have been born. The desire for that to happen is just exponential at this point. It's unreal.
Yeah. Well, I think it started the second Glenn left the band. I think every Misfits fan wanted the reunion to happen. No one wanted him to leave. I don't think it just had to happen. And Danzig's good, but it's not Misfits. That's what it is.
Yeah, at the time, to be quite honest, when that all went down, I was really, in a way, shocked that they continued on with the Misfits name at all.
Yeah, well, I mean, Danzig fought that like crazy, too. He obviously did not want that to happen. And like I said, if their legacy is going to be anywhere near respectable for Misfits, there has to be a reunion. It can't end the way it is with this lineup. Doyle's solo band is more Misfits than the Misfits are.
Yeah. It's sad to say they came through Pittsburgh last year, and I really wasn't even motivated to see it.
Yeah, it's not. It's Jerry only with a couple other dudes. And it's obvious he's just squeezing everything he can out of the Misfits, because he probably wouldn't be able to make it as a solo artist. I mean, Christ the Conqueror didn't do very well, so that's almost been forgotten. So, but moving on, Mayhem Festival, the headliners have been leaked. Avenged Sevenfold and Korn are going to be headlining Mayhem Festival. Monkey mentioned it at NAMM to a fan or a reporter. He mentioned that they are headlining Mayhem with Avenged. And it's kind of 50-50 on how fans are feeling about that lineup right now. Avenged has so many haters, it's crazy. And the second that was announced, it's going to sell out every show, but the diehard Mayhem fans, a lot of them are not happy with this lineup. Korn, they're cool with. Avenged, they're not.
Has any of the other support acts been announced? Because if it has a strong enough support system, then, like you say, I mean, they're going to turn out anyway, but with an extra strong support, then they're really going to turn out.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, no matter what, Avenged fans are going to go out and catch the show. They may show up a little later just to see Avenged and the headliners and the main stage, but they're going to still have a great crowd. The support hasn't been announced. There's rumors. I know that Devil Driver is a rumor. Killswitch Engage is a rumored band for Mayhem. OTAP is really, really pushing to get on Mayhem this year. So the support looks decent. It's definitely strayed away from what Mayhem used to be.
Unfortunately, it seems like certain festivals actually grow stronger every year. You think of Rock on the Rage, Rocklahoma, and stuff like that. But other touring festivals, it seems like Ozfest and all those that used to be the really strong ones, just they're getting weaker. Every now and again, they have a really, really stellar lineup, but overall, It's just like you say, it seems to have faded to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when Mayhem started in 2008. Obviously, I had to start in Slipknot, but the side stages were like, if you weren't into metal, you were almost afraid to go because of the bands that were there, because you knew you were going to get your ass kicked in the pit. I mean, even Bullet for My Valentine was heavy as hell back then. Then you can't go lighthearted into a pit at a metal festival. Oh, exactly. Especially a show like Mayhem. You got Black Dahlia, stuff like that. I mean, Straight Line Stitch, Bullet was on the, As I Lay Dying, which didn't play their first one until 2012. But bands along those lines, if you're not a hardcore metal fan, you see that lineup and you're afraid to go because it's going to be violent. Now you look at it, you got Avenged. Avenged is great, but they're not a Mayhem-ish band at all. Considering what Mayhem's evolved into in terms of the usual, they're a little different. Yeah. So
especially with a newer album, it's a total another it's another left turn for them.
I would like to see Machine Head on Mayhem. Because I would love to see Machine Head and Avenged Sevenfold on the same lineup after all that stuff went down with Hail to the King and all that.
That would be big.
Yeah, that would be fun. And I'd like to see Flynn go on stage with Avenged to play one of the songs from Hail to the King. That would be just funny.
That would be awesome. And you know what? For the fans who are hating the new album, you know what? They're not going to play but maybe 3 or 4 songs from the new album.
Yeah, exactly.
So go out there and still enjoy it. And they have a massive stage that rivals Zombie and Alice Cooper these days. So you're really going to get a visual spectacle, too. Yeah. So whether you like the new album or not, don't be a baby. If you like Avenged Sevenfold, they're going to be playing Avenged Sevenfold. Exactly. Just go and enjoy the show and enjoy the other acts.
Well, I mean, it's like M. Shadow said on that metal show, a festival show, they're not going to play a lot of new material. A festival show, Avenged Sevenfold season festival show, is a chance to play the hits and the songs that the fans love. Obviously, they're going to play Shepherd of Fire, they're going to play Hail to the King, the title track, they're going to play those two. But if you step aside from expecting them to sound like they did on Waking the Fallen, even on Sounding the Seventh Trumpet, those songs are outstanding songs. They sound good, they hit good, they rock, they're metal.
Yeah.
And like you said, their stage show, if you haven't seen Avenged, they have probably the most fire and pyro you're ever going to see in one stage, unless it's Slayer.
And the giant Skull King who comes out from behind the drum riser. I mean, the last time you saw something that big behind a drum riser in metal was the big Eddies in an Iron Maiden show.
Yeah. I mean, they give you your money's worth. And even if you don't enjoy them, if you enjoy the early stuff, you're going to get it. You're going to get Unholy Confessions. You're going to get Afterlife. You're going to get... They're even playing Chapter 4 on this last tour they did. You're going to get the early stuff. They play one song from every album. They even do Backcountry, which a lot of Avenged... I don't even think Avenged Sevenfold fans know what they like from Avenged Sevenfold.
Unfortunately, it seems like too many of them, they're Avenged Sevenfold fans, but they're fans of just one particular album.
Exactly, because every album is so different. And,
exactly.
I mean, and I can see where the fans are coming from. They know what they want to hear. Like, I didn't get into them big until Nightmare. I liked them, but that's the one that really, really, really sparked it. A lot of my friends have been into them since Seventh Trumpet. Fans of Waking the Fallen expected Waking the Fallen. They got City of Evil. Fans expected that. They got the White Album. Fans expected that. They got Nightmare. It's different, but if you're a fan of music, you like all of the albums because they're all
it's all metal.
Yeah. It's all musically.
It might be a little bit different, but it's all metal.
Yeah, I personally didn't like City of Evil very much. That's the only one I don't like by them. And it's still a good album. It's just not my forte.
Yeah.
And
there's bits and pieces I like of every single album.
Yeah.
But I would have to say that probably musically and artistically and in terms of strong songs, I'm with you thinking that Nightmare was sad that Rev wasn't on it, but really it was probably one of their strongest musical efforts, I think.
Well, and technically the Rev was on it. He sang on Fiction. He recorded the drum tracks, I think, for Nightmare and a couple others. And I mean, this may come off as insensitive, but I do think that the Rev passing away made them a better band because it made them channel every aspect. They all had to pitch in on the writing in every part. They
gave them a renewed sense of focus. Yeah. They really had their nose down.
The Rev wrote so many of the songs. Not to say that they didn't write anything else, but he wrote a large portion of the songs. And when he was gone, Nightmare was basically a tribute album to him. M. Shadows wrote Victim, and Sin wrote So Far Away, and they all wrote different parts of the songs. They had to channel so much. It's true that when an artist is going through pain, they put out their best work because people can relate to it. Millions of people were able to relate to So Far Away and Victim and Fiction and all that stuff, and it made them a better band, and they had to focus so much more heavily on every aspect of the recording and writing and album process that they put out better work. Not to say their older stuff sucked, but I mean, Nightmare was just so well done. It really was. And if fans hated it, in all honesty, they're just haters of new stuff that's different.
Too many bands these days. Metal fans are so critical. It's almost impossible for any band to put out any album and please everybody. Yeah. No matter what you do, 50% of them are going to hate it for whatever their own deluded reasons are.
Yeah, and like M. Shadow said on numerous times. You know, when they released Nightmare, everyone hated it. And then they released Hail to the King, and everyone wanted it to be Nightmare. When they released Nightmare, everyone hated it, but they wanted it to be the White Album. But when they released the White Album, they hated it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that just fans need to give it time. It'll grow on them, and it's not as good as Nightmare, but it is very, very close. I mean, and they had to write an album that good. I think it's the album they had to make.
Yeah,
at this
absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, Down has been added to the Revolver Golden Gods tour with Black Label Society.
Outstanding. Very much looking forward to that one.
Yeah, Phil Anselmo and Zakk Wylde on stage together. I mean...
Yeah, I'm hoping every night that they'll somehow manage to swap into one another's sets.
I'm hoping that they do, maybe, because Anselmo, whether it's with Down or The Illegals, he always seems to fit in a Pantera track in some way.
Exactly.
I'm really hoping that they fit in a Pantera track with Zakk coming out to do some, you know, on stage. That sparks a Pantera reunion conversation, something like that, you know. That would be just awesome. Probably not going to happen, but we can hope.
Yeah, you know what? It's always rumored, and it's always going to be rumored, but you and I, everybody knows that it comes down to one man. It comes down to Vin. So when Vin's ready, it'll happen.
Yeah, so it's probably never going to happen. So
yeah, it may not, but it may not. But you know what? Hope is what keeps you alive, man. So, yeah, exactly. And if you're gonna hope for something, look, what better thing to hope for than a Pantera reunion?
Exactly. And this lineup for the Golden Gods tour, it almost beats out last year's Golden Gods tour that had Stone Sour and In This Moment on it. I mean, this one's got Black Label, it's got Down, and it's got the Devil You Know, Howard from Killswitch's new band.
Awesome.
It's going to be a great tour. And it's a long tour.
Forward.
It's a long one, too. It starts out in April, goes all the way through June. So, that's going to be... And it's hitting your area. It's hitting Pittsburgh. So...
yeah. I'm dying for that one.
I think we'll find a way...
It's one of those ones on the concert calendar that has the little star.
I think we'll find a way to have you at that show. It's in Fort Wayne out here. Unfortunately, I'll be at Rock on the Range that day. And so, when that lineup is playing Rock on the Range as well, so they're doing Rock on the Range and then headed to Pittsburgh, it looks like. And so, that's...
Yeah, Pittsburgh's the end of April. It's like the 30th.
Yeah, see here, that is on May 15th. So, but yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's going to be great. Anytime you get Phil Anselmo and Zakk Wylde on a stage on the same tour, it's going to be a great tour. I mean, especially with Down, you know, working on new music, and then Black Label about to release new music. It's going to be a great tour. And anyone who's not going to Rock on the Range needs to get out to that tour. It's hitting virtually every state. I mean... There's no...
Yeah, I did notice that it's hitting a pretty diverse market.
Except Iowa.
The fact that it's a little longer really gives it the ability.
Yeah, it's not hitting Iowa. Iowa doesn't get anything. Metal doesn't like Iowa for some reason because there's nothing there, even though Slipknot came from there. But
yeah, isn't that a shame? One of Metal's strongest standing bands comes from there, and nobody will go play a show there.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But I'm from there, so it's a little bitter for me. But it's okay. Then, see here. Then we got, speaking of Rock on the Range, the world's Loudest Month festivals pretty much all have the exact same lineup. But, I mean, just to touch on a couple of those bands, I mean, Rock on the Range has Guns N' Roses Avenged. I'm not sure why Kid Rock is there.
Yeah. Just, I guess, maybe trying to be a little more diverse for a title that has rock in it. I mean, technically, he kind of evolved into rock from where he started.
He has a little bit. I think he's more country than rock now.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't listened to him in quite some time because I just kind of lost interest. So I'm not exactly sure what he's doing these days.
Different. Well, I mean, he's on Rock on the Range. He's got Rocklahoma. He's got Carolina Rebellion. I mean, he's on most of these, so it almost makes you wonder. I mean, is his next album going to be more rock-based if he's on the rock festivals? I mean, is he going more?
If he's planning on putting out new music this year, and that's going to be his main tour throughout the summer, you would think if you had any brains at all, you would make sure that whatever he was doing would have some form of rock edge to it.
Yeah, because his last couple albums have been more country fueled, which is cool. But when listening to Devil Without a Cause and then Cocky, it's frustrating because you want more rap, more. He used to be more Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park style than country, and now, I mean, it's good country stuff, but still, it's weird.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if he did put out a really strong rock album, like we mentioned earlier in a festival situation, it's mostly a greatest hits kind of deal. So it doesn't really matter what the hell he puts out because everybody's going to want to hear what they want to hear.
Exactly.
If there's Kid Rock fans in that audience, they're going to want to hear Bow to Bow and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're going to want to hear Cowboy. They're even going to want to hear All Summer Long, the one that sampled Lynyrd Skynyrd and all that stuff. I mean, they're going to want to hear that. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. You also got Death Punch, Slayer, Stain, Motorhead, Seether, Chevelle, Alter Bridge, Black Label, Mastodon, Killswitch, Wolf Mother. I mean... Oh, I didn't even notice Wolf Mother. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But, I mean, let's touch on Motorhead. They're on all of these World's Loudest Month festivals. I mean...
Yeah, I'm worried about the whole Motorhead being on the touring situation.
Yeah.
Lemmy's health, I haven't heard anything as of late, but the last I heard wasn't good.
Yeah, well, I mean, they canceled the Euro dates that were actually rescheduled. They had to cancel those. They're not even making them up now. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they are able to show up to those festivals, and if they can't, who would be a good fit to replace them is the question.
Yeah, fills that void.
Yeah.
Man, there's maybe you can hold in one hand the bands that could replace a band of that stature.
Yeah, it's gonna. I would almost say Megadeth or Anthrax would have to replace Motorhead.
They would have to somebody massive.
Especially with Anthrax working on a new record right now. That would be a good fit. Megadeth is supposedly working on something. But I mean...
Megadeth is always working on something.
Yeah, I mean, just like Guns N' Roses always seems to be working.
No matter what you think of Dave Mustaine as a human being, he is the consummate songwriter and musician.
Yeah, he really is. Like you said, regardless of what you think of him, he's a workaholic. I mean,
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of musicians out there that as human beings, I despise, but I respect their body of work and their work ethic.
Yeah, and even though a lot of people see Megadeth as just a Metallica ripoff, especially with the timing on how Megadeth formed, you've got to respect what he came through, getting kicked out of the band or leaving, whatever, forming Megadeth and taking it to the level that it's gotten to. It's you have to. I've always regarded
Megadeth as Dave's statement of "fuck you, I don't need you. I can do whatever I want on my own terms."
Yeah.
So, like I say, no matter how you feel about him, you got to give him mad respect for that because he recovered very quickly from being trounced from what was going to end up being the biggest band on the planet at one time,
and very well as well. He recovered.
Yeah, everything that he's done, his body of work started out strong. I mean, the first couple albums are still regarded by the fans as some of the best, but even his newer stuff, his catalog gets better and better and better. Everything that he's done of lately, 13 and, all that stuff, great stuff. The only album that I really didn't care for, Super Collider, was so technically proficient and so polished that it was actually almost too clean of a production for Megadeth. It somehow lost that metal edge by being so perfect.
And a lot of fans did not like that. They at least didn't like the song Super Collider. Whether they liked the album, Dave Mustaine says that you're an idiot if you thought that it was a bomb of an album, because apparently critics loved it, fans loved it, but all you hear is the negative about it.
Yeah, and I enjoy the album. Like I say, I thought it was still a very strong album, but compared to the two right before it, it was a little weaker.
Yeah, and me, I never got into Megadeth, so I didn't listen to Super Collider. But I did read.
It's not the place to start it. Yeah, it's not the place to start for Megadeth fans. If for someone who wants to try Megadeth, there's certain places you should start, and that's not it.
Peace Sells is one you want to start with, or
obviously, Rust in Peace is probably their seminal album. You know what I mean? That's them firing on absolutely all cylinders.
Exactly.
The lineup at that time was extremely strong, and it was that was one of those magical moments in time.
Then, speaking of thrash, while on the subject, Altitudes and Attitude have released their debut. That's the side project from Bello and Ellefson from Anthrax and Megadeth. Speaking of Megadeth, and
yeah, very excited about that one. Very, very excited. It's nice to see Frankie Bello stepping out and doing something in the front. People don't realize what a strong voice he actually has.
Yeah, and it's 3 songs. It's not what you would expect. It's very, I think, 70s metalish, and but outstanding. And Bello does a great job on vocals and guitar. Ellison does great on guitar and bass. Then Friedel from Perfect Circle is on it. Does great, outstanding work on drums. It's 3 songs, but that means you can listen to it about 45 times in one day. So
right, exactly, cool. Not a bad thing. Yeah, it leaves you. It's strong. It's strong enough to draw you in, and there's just a little bit of it there, so it leaves you wanting more. It's perfect.
Exactly, and Disturbed
makes you be hoping strong for a full length. You know what I mean?
Oh, we can only hope. And Disturbed working on new songs. Going to be interesting to see where that goes. I know Draymond said that he wanted it to be at least a couple years before Disturbed goes back on the road and tours again. They're already working on new music, but if they're just working on songs, that could be a couple years before it gets recorded and released, which means another couple years before they're able to tour. So that's perfect time frame right there. And I don't know if it's because Device didn't do as well as he thought, or Fight or Flight didn't do as well as they thought, but needless to say, they're working on new music, so that's exciting. And it almost...
It's a good thing, maybe them taking a little bit of time to flex their creative muscles and try to do something different and see where the fans lied on that. And it's come out that, the fans would really just much rather see them do Disturbed. So
yeah, and
hopefully that'll bring them back with a renewed sense of purpose, and they'll come out with something really, really strong.
Yeah, and Asylum was a good album, but compare it to 10,000 Fists or Indestructible even, and it doesn't really measure up to the albums that came before. It's almost, you can tell that they were getting a little burned out and kind of tired of doing Disturbed on that Asylum album.
To be honest, for me with Disturbed, I still go back to their very first album because it just plays so well from beginning to end. All the other albums, I kind of are hit and miss affairs for me. I mean, I still really like it. I love Disturbed, but there's songs on every other album but the first one that I can actually skip over.
Yeah, to me, I like 10,000 Fists the most. The Sickness was great. Believe was good and great, but 10,000 Fists had so many awesome songs on it, I thought. Especially Land of Confusion cover was great.
Very strong cover. But I really like the Tears for Fears cover, Shout, on the first album, too. Another good one.
I do think that 10,000 Fists was the last great album they had. Indestructible was okay. Asylum was okay. 10,000 Fists was the last, great album they had. And maybe, like you said, maybe they just needed time away to, recharge Disturbed, I guess.
I think sometimes when bands get elevated to the level of success that Disturbed was at, I mean, they were really riding the wave high. Mm-hmm. I think they start to think that maybe they're better than what they truly are in some degrees, and that's not meant to be disrespectful, but I think their heads get a little big and they think that, oh, well, maybe I don't need these other people, or I can do this on my own, and blah, 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 and they go out and try these things, or maybe it's just a creative thing that they're like, oh my God, I've got other things I want to do and I can't do it here, so they do it, get it out of their system, and then they come back to their other band strong, knowing that if they ever decide that they really want to do something different again, they can always go back to use that side project and put out another side project.
Exactly. I mean, Device was outstanding. It was very well done and different. And
it was a good album.
Yeah, Fight or Flight was a good album, but touring-wise, I don't think it was as successful as anyone expected it to be.
No, I was shocked when they did the show here in Pittsburgh. The band itself did a great job, but the turnout was not outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was surprising. Yeah, hopefully Disturbed comes back with some great stuff and a great tour. Austrian Death Machine, Triple Brutal is about to be released in April.
Kind of shocked about that. How about yourself?
I didn't think it was ever going to happen.
Yeah, I thought even if it did happen, it was going to be so tied up in legalities and, you know, just people's moral compass that it wasn't going to happen for quite some time. The fact that it might actually happen in the next few months is kind of stunning to me.
Yeah, and it almost raises the question, if anybody buys that album, are they helping pay Tim's bail to get out and his legal fees?
I mean, that would do all proceeds go to that.
Yeah, he's going to get a chunk of it no matter what. So it's like, are we helping him? You know, and is he going to get any of the money from it, since he's obviously going to be locked up for about 20 to 25 years, if not more? You know, I'm
sure at some point his wife's family will bring a civil case against him, and then he's going to be tied up in legalities and monies and just, oh man.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to get slowly tore down.
Yeah, they were talking about doing a plea bargain or something like that for him, but even if that happens, something else will get charged against him, and he'll get locked up for longer.
Well, you know what, even if he doesn't get locked up, even once he's out, he's probably burnt most of his musical bridges, and the chance of him having a strong career in music from this point on is slim to none. He may come out of prison and still create music, but how many people will actually buy it, other than the wackos who would buy a Charles Manson album?
Right, and how many people would... You know, people may buy it, the first one at least, just to see what it's like.
Exactly.
You know, or at least
I was just going to say that.
But how many people would...
Curiosity.
How many people would go actually see him live? Because you're basically justifying what he did and what he's done. And, you know, I think that if the only hope he has of having a successful career in music is to go back down the Christian route, because Christian bands are supposed to be forgiving,
right,
and he would have a fairly successful career. I could see the Christian metal bands, you know, if you could prove that he's changed and a Christian again, I can see the Christian bands giving him a chance to go on tour as an opening act to test the waters a little bit, to show the Christian forgiveness. But I don't see him touring, you know, on the level with the Devil Wears Pradas and the Slipknots and bands like that again. As I Lay Dying, they're probably best off just getting a new singer, you know?
Yeah. The sad thing is the guy is such a prolific songwriter that, I mean, no matter what he does, if he puts out anything, you know it's going to be good. You know that the man is capable of writing a damn good song.
Exactly.
And that's a shame, because people aren't going to buy that music just because of his past, and it's going to be really good music.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, like you said, there's that giant question: who will actually buy it?
Right, and depending on how long he's locked up for when he gets out, you know, there's going to be some rust. He's not going to, you know...
Yeah, it's not like he's sitting in his cell practicing, keeping his fingers nimble or anything.
Exactly. I mean, his voice probably isn't going to be as strong, as solid as it was. I mean,
exactly.
He'll be in better shape, because all there is to do in prison is lift weights and work out and work and sleep. So I mean, he'll be in shape, most likely. But
come out looking like Doyle, but that doesn't mean that people are going to buy his music.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much screwed. I mean, he's not going to have his musical talent isn't going to be as solid. He may be able to write as well as he could, but he's not going to be able to sing and scream and growl as good as he could. You know, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, with that amount of inactivity, it's going to take him a while, because he's going to lose his step. He's going to have to take at least 6 months to get himself back up to par. You know what I mean?
I mean, him and the dude from Lost Prophets could form a band together in prison, I guess. You know, Charles Manson could write the songs for them. And
oh, that's awesome! And their name can be the Prison Bitches.
That would be awesome. Another bit of news: Keith Caputo. I'll let you touch on that. Mina Caputo.
Shocking, absolutely shocking. For those of you who don't know Keith Caputo, Keith is the lead singer for the hardcore heavyweights from New York, Life Agony. Stunning career of really brutal metal. In the 90s, Keith kind of went off on his own and kind of did some psychedelic stuff, but the real shocker, Mr. Caputo is living his life as a woman these days under the name Mina, and is still putting out music, still putting on shows, and from all accounts and purposes, doesn't mind. And if the fans come up to him and refer to him still as Keith, shocking. Where that's going to leave Life of Agony fans is really, really an interesting pill to swallow. I don't know if you'll ever see any more new music from Life of Agony. I kind of doubt it at this point. And if there was, would the fans want it? But, yeah, quite a shocker. Apparently this has been going on for a couple years, but just recently brought to light that we have another one doing a Mark Free. Anybody remember Mark Free from King Cobra? Mark is now known as Marcy Free, putting out albums. And as a fan, I checked out the Mark Free when it changed, and his voice has lost a step. So my concern for Keith is if he's living on all these hormones and going through all these changes, it's going to affect his vocal abilities and his style drastically. It's a proven fact that when you get those many hormones, it affects a lot of things in your body, and it's different, but I don't think Keith's heart is in metal anymore anyway. The stuff that he's been doing, like I say, is a little more avant-garde, a little more psychedelic, mainstream rock at best, nothing really metal whatsoever. So maybe voice change won't be a bad thing, but actually maybe suit his current direction. But a shocker nonetheless that we have another rocker who is totally...
Yeah, it's, I don't even know what to think of the whole thing. It's just completely, it's one of those things that when you read it, unless it's on a credible website like Metal Sucks or Metal Hammer, Revolver, or the Front Row Report,
right,
you almost, you don't know whether to believe it or not. It's like, it's so out there that it could be a hoax.
Exactly.
Or it could be true.
Yeah, that was my first reaction when I first read it. I thought, this can't be true, so it intrigued me enough that I started really searching the subject, and the more I searched, the more it seemed abundantly clear that is in fact true, that is really happening.
Not to mention, Mina's got a website and an album out now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's absolutely proof for it. Yeah, I haven't downloaded it yet. I'm going to, and I'll give it a listen just to see.
Yeah, it's Keith, Mina, he, she, however you want to put it. Use Indiegogo, which a lot of bands and artists are using now, and on her website, she has listed everybody that funded it and donated. It's on her website, so you can see all the donators. It's really cool. And
I haven't even gone to the website yet. Are there actually pictures? Because I'm thinking Keith wasn't all that attractive of a man, nothing personal, but I'm thinking he's not a very pretty woman.
I did not spend a lot of time on the website. I went on there last night. Yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time. I don't know. I would imagine there are. But I mean, if that's the way that he wants to live his life, and if he can make it work, all the power to him.
Exactly. And, like I say, I will listen to it, and if it's a good album, I will continue to play it. I really went into the end of last year listening to that new Scott Stapp album, wanting to hate it because I'm not a fan of the man after his meltdown, but. Yeah. Credit, give him where credit is due. It was a good album, and if this Mina puts out a good album is a good album. I am not like the typical metal fan. I don't hate on anything for change. Good is good, no matter how you do it.
And I think that if you're a true fan of an artist and a band, you'll give a chance to whatever they put out. You don't have to like it, but at least,
you should at least listen to it.
Yeah,
don't write it off on the hype. Judge for yourself.
Support them. Buy the record, whether it's on iTunes or wherever you get your music from. Don't torrent it, because that's the part of the reason rock and metal is not selling as well as it was, because rock and metal fans are cheap and don't want to spend money on the music. That's why the pop artists are still selling 100,000 albums. Stuff like that,
Yep. Because the little teeny boppers are the ones buying it.
Exactly. They'll ask their parents to buy it for them and stuff like that. I mean, buy the goddamn music. It's not hard to do. Buy a single off of iTunes. They don't get much money. They get some. You know, it's better than nothing.
Yeah, you know what? Even if you're one of those guys who torrents everything because you want to hear it early, you know what? If you decide that you like it, my God, if you want that band to be around to put out another album that you're going to like, go buy that one.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, being a musician these days is hard as hell. You've got to be a road dog. You've got to depend on merchandise and fans to turn out. If fans aren't buying it, they can't do it. If you really want to hear your favorite artist, if you really want a sustained career, if you really want to have them continue to put out good music, then you got to buy what they put out.
Yeah, and the best thing about buying the music, you don't risk going to jail. So,
exactly.
It's legal. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Tool has some new dates announced, touching on some quick stuff. Tool has some new dates announced. Foo Fighters. Tool has new dates, but there's like 8 total. So.
Yeah, and it seems to be a really hit and miss affair as to where they're playing.
Yeah, it's all West Coast and Southwest.
Yeah.
We're talking Washington, Oregon, California, Arizona, and of course, Vegas. And that's pretty much...
Do us East Coast people suck? Are we bad?
I would assume that we'll get a leg of the tour. I would assume probably after their album is released in another 18 years. But yeah, they got dates. I think there's some Texas dates in there. But Foo Fighters are working on a new album with a couple of the producers that worked with Nirvana. The guys that worked on In Utero and Nevermind, they're producing this new Foo Fighters album. So we can only.
I wonder how involved they are in the process.
I don't know. It's just rumors.
You know what I mean? I'm wondering if they're actually in the writing process, or if they're really having an influence after they go in as to the sound. Because I'd love to think that it would be the Foo Fighters putting out something really, really with a nice Nirvana vibe to it.
I think that with Chris and Dave doing some Nirvana stuff with, God knows why they chose Paul McCartney, but with Paul McCartney, I think that got the itch for some Nirvana stuff to come up again.
Well, you know, Dave Grohl has proven time and time again he can pretty much write anything that he wants to write. The Probot album was a brilliant piece of metal with so many different styles that were tailored to so many different vocalists that just really proved beyond a shadow of a doubt what his writing abilities really were.
Well, he can work with anybody, too. I mean, he's worked with Ghost, he's worked with Zac Brown Band. I mean, he knew anything. The man is...
He is the Heinz 57 musician. There's nothing he can't do.
He really is, and and from what I've heard, he is one of the nicest men you'll ever meet as well.
Yeah, great to think that someone who is embridled with that kind of talent is still just a humble schlub like the rest of us.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so that'll be interesting. We can only hope. Honestly, I mean, with these rumors floating around, if it is true, anything that doesn't sound like Nirvana is going to be a disappointment to every music fan everywhere. I mean,
right.
That's just the way it's going to be. So, Dave, if you're listening, how about some Nirvana stuff? Even though I didn't personally like Nirvana, I love Foo Fighters, and it would be interesting and cool to hear that. It's not going to sound just like Nirvana because...
No, and you wouldn't want it to, but it would be nice to see him go back to those kind of almost punk leanings. That'd be awesome.
This Wasting Light was great, but it's like the only rock thing that rock radio stations play on the radio now. That's it. They play Nirvana, Foo Fighters, and Stone Temple Pilots. That's it. The rest is all Imagine Dragons and stuff.
Dave always finds himself in a unique position where, with the Foo Fighters, you know what I mean? It's the one band that metal fans can still relate to and enjoy, but can still be found in Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah. Foo Fighters are like the only current rock band that's popular in the pop world and society now. Everybody else gets ignored, but Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl are fine. I don't get it. So, big news in the Fleetwood Mac world, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah. Recently announced Christy McVie is going to return to the fold with the guys in Fleetwood Mac after a little over a 10-year hiatus. They're already talking about creating new music. They're tossing around ideas and bouncing things off of one another. They already have a few songs kind of in the bag, so to speak. And when the album's done, they're going to go out and support it with the original lineup, which will be nice to see. Well, not original. Most folks don't realize Fleetwood Mac had a career in the 60s when Peter Green was fronting it. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, the Judas Priest song, The Green Manalishi with the two-pronged crown, is a Fleetwood Mac song from the Peter Green days, and a lot of fans don't know that. Mm-hmm. Totally different from what they evolved into when Lindsay and Stevie and them fronted it. But yeah, nice to see Christine's back. Hopefully, she was a big influence in the songwriting back in the day. If you ever look at the songwriting credits, she had a big hand in a lot of their hits. So hopefully they'll be able to put out a nice, strong Fleetwood Mac album that will garner a little more sense of a reunion for them and bring the fans back out. Mm-hmm. It's always nice to see the guys from the 70s still doing strong stuff, still actually putting out new music that matters. So, high hopes for that.
Yeah, and speaking of another iconic band, Motley Crue has announced the final tour. Special guest Alice Cooper on all dates. And it's going to be a good 3 to 4 month tour to kick it off in the U.S. I mean, they're hitting every single state, except maybe Alaska. They may hit Hawaii, I'm not sure, but those are the only two they're not hitting. It's a huge, huge way to kick off the tour in the States here. But, what do you think? Is it really going to be the last tour for Motley Crue? I mean, they're still...
It's hard to say. I think that it could be for the simple fact that the main reasons they're citing for it being the final is Mick Mars. Mick is very sick. His that bone degenerative disease that he has is really starting to take a toll on him. And it's not like they can't still create music, but Mick doing the tour takes a lot out of him. So I think that's why they're considering wrapping it up. So maybe the last tour, but you never know. When Tommy Lee left the band, they continued on without him. Nobody would have thought that would happen. I mean, they even had Samantha on drums. Who would ever thought a female drummer drumming for Motley Crue in the place of Tommy Lee? So stranger things have happened, and so many bands. I mean, my God, the Rolling Stones have been doing their farewell tour since the 1970s. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some bands always say that they're going through. Kiss has come out of retirement for the farewell show since 1992 or something like that. So it's hard to say. I mean, I think in terms of Mick, it'll definitely be the last time Mick is on the road, but the rest of the guys and crew, I wouldn't say for sure. And they're even rumored, I mean, they're supposed to be working hard on a new album that is supposed to come out this year. There's nothing been finalized, no titles, no nothing, just that they're doing it. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of going circulating around this. I mean, this could be a really big thing for them, especially if they do put a new album out, and it actually has a couple strong songs like "Saints of Los Angeles." Motherfucker of the Year was just unbelievable. That was a great tune.
Yeah, it really was.
So, yeah, I mean, what do you think, Reg? Do you think that this will really be it, or is it going to be like everybody else?
Everybody says it's because of Mick Mars' health, and I think everyone kind of sees that. The band is adamant lately that it's not even Mick Mars, but I mean, who's going to admit that?
They don't want to put blame on one guy, because then all of a sudden now the fans are pissed at Mick when they should feel sympathy for him.
Right, and they keep saying it's because they don't want to be like every other band. They don't mention names, but they said a bunch of bands will announce a farewell tour and then come back and do a farewell tour and come back and forth. They don't want to do that. They want their legacy going out on top with all the originals, which I get that, because you do think less of the bands that come out of retirement. I mean, when Brett Favre came out of retirement 5 or 6 times in the NFL, everyone saw him as a joke at the end, and no one took him seriously. It's the same thing with Kiss. It's like, okay, well, the first time, okay, yeah, they're going away. That sucks. We'll go see it. And then they came back because they made so much money off of it. They'll come back, They also said they don't want to be like certain bands who have somebody's brother or one original member. Obviously, they're poking fun at Leonard Skinner there, with the singer's brother and all that. I think that it could be the last tour, because if Mick leaves, they don't want their legacy to be. They want their legacy of the last tour to be with all the original members, and this probably is going to be the last time Mick can tour, especially if it really is a 2-year tour like they say it's going to be. by the time they get done, he won't be able to tour again, and I don't think they want their legacy to be without him in the end. So it really could be.
It's not just his health too. I mean, a lot of people don't realize Mick is a lot older than the rest of the guys.
Yeah,
in that
he
band.
really is.
Mick had been gigging around since the early '70s, man.
Yeah.
He's paid his dues, so you know he's got like 10, 15 years on the rest of the guys in that band.
Yeah, and I think people forget. I mean, people are so used to a tour being 2 or 3 months long. And so when they say this is the final tour, it's like, oh, it's going to be a 2 or 3 month tour, and they announce the dates. They're like, it's only a couple months long. No, it's not. No, the United States leg is going to be a couple months, 3 or 4 or 5 months long. They have to do a world tour. So they have to go to every continent minus Antarctica. Only Metallica can do that in 1 year. But, I mean, they're going to go to Asia. They're going to go to South America. They're going to go to Africa. They're going to go to Canada, Mexico. You know, and they may do the rounds again for the people that weren't able to go the first time. So by the time it gets done, we're looking at 2015 or 16.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to be. I think they really will be done. I think they're the only ones that realize how long this tour is going to be and how demanding it's going to be. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even in the best physical shape, that's a demanding tour, man. And life on the road is not easy. It is not easy because you can't really take care of yourself. You eat shitty food. You eat what you can get in your body. You can't really try to exercise or work out. You just don't have the damn time with everything that's going on in terms of press and all that. It's just, it's a nightmare.
It raises the question, will they make it through the tour? That's the other question. Will they be able to, will they hit a Lemmy type situation?
Yeah, well, let's consider they're going out with Alice Cooper, who is not a spring chicken. You know, he's in really good shape, but the guy's up there. You know, Alice is in his 60s now. If Alice is on him with it for the whole leg of this, well, you know, that's a big demand on him as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Alice Cooper, Crue doesn't tour that often. They tour maybe once every 2 years. Cooper, on the other hand, Alice does.
Total road dog, never really stops.
Yeah, he does.
He stops long enough to record an album, and he's back out on the road.
He does 250 plus shows a year. So I mean, I think he's more conditioned for a long tour than Motley Crue is right now. Not that they're not, but he's more used to it. When you spend so much time off the road, I mean, yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get used to it again. You know. I mean,
no matter what, even if it is or isn't the last tour, you're going to get a hell of a spectacle.
Yeah.
Crue puts on a huge show, and so does Alice. It's not just the songs; it's a massive visual extravaganza.
Yeah.
You really, really get your money's worth at a show like that, and you're going to get a double header of it. So hell yeah!
I think the best way for them to make it through the tour on the best of health, just don't do any press on the tour. Don't do any interviews. Do it all in advance of the tour, before it kicks off. When the tour starts, it's all business. It's nothing against the press. Crue has never liked the press anyway. You can tell they were getting pissed off at the press during the press conference when everyone kept asking, is this really the last tour? Is this really the last? This can't be the last, you know. Nikki even said, you press, you media, you keep trying to find that loophole. Keep trying to find, you know. So,
yeah, it's not there, guys.
it's really that. I don't think their heart is. You know, Nikki Sixx has so much invested into 6 a.m. right now. You know, Vince Neil has his restaurant stuff and his solo gigs. Tommy Lee's a DJ. Mick Mars is working on a book, and he's just moved to Nashville, like he said. He's working with everyone. They have so much invested in other stuff that I don't. You know, I don't think they have as much. Their heart isn't completely into Motley Crue anymore as it was 8, 9, 10 years ago. You know, that's why they don't do Crue Fest anymore. They did it twice, you know. And
well, hell, man, even if you look at the writing credits for Saints of Los Angeles, DJ Aspa has more writing credits on that last Motley Crue record than Mick Mars does.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the same band, and it's a different society where, you know, you almost can't be Motley Crue anymore. I mean, Motley Crue is all about the sex and the drugs and the rebellion, and that doesn't fit in society anymore. You know,
yeah, and nobody wants to see sex and rebellion from a 60-year-old dude.
Right.
I don't want to think about my grandpa getting nasty under the stage.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that society, you almost can't be a real rock and roll band in society anymore without getting, you know, in the 80s, people loved that shit. You know, it was huge, you know, because no one had seen it before for the most part.
Well, you know, we were still living in a decade of extreme excess, too, in the 80s.
Yeah. It's a different age now where everything is, all about health and, living well, and the bands that are all about sex and drugs, they get looked down on, and I think they just get sick of it after a while, and I think Motley Crue is sick and tired of just being the front runners and everything. They said a couple of years ago that after we're gone, there's not going to be anybody in the rock and metal world to take our place, because there's no good new rock and metal bands out there that really have the tenacity to do what we do. And it's almost like they're forcing somebody to step up to the plate now. It's like,
well, that's good. We need to have another generation carry that torch.
Yeah, and it's true.
You and I have discussed in the past. We're always looking what bands of our generation or the last generation are going to be the ones who still have a career 20, 30 years from now.
Right.
Who will be this generation's Stones or Zeppelin? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think there will ever be another Stones or Zeppelin. In all honesty, I don't.
I just mean in terms. I really don't either, because, like you say, things have changed so much in the music world. I don't think that could ever happen again.
I think, and I was just talking about it with one of my guys last week on the way to Louisville to see Skillet, is who, after these bands leave, who's gonna, even bands like Korn and Shinedown and, they're reaching, Godsmack, they're reaching 10, 20 years into their career now. They're about done, probably. Godsmack's writing like their, 8th or 9th album now. I mean,
there are another ones who supposedly have something new coming this year.
Those bands are even in the twilight years almost, and reaching, they're not to the Crue years yet, but they're getting there. Who are the new bands that are going to be able to really, carry the torch and take over? And there's very few. You can't name Bullet for My Valentine. They've been around forever. Hailstorm is one of them. We As Humans one of them. I mean, you can't even name Skillet. They've been around since '96.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many out there who, and it's almost like Motley Crue is saying, we're done. Who's going to do it? Somebody has to do it now, because we're not sticking around.
Yeah, and you know what? We need another strong Crue-like band. There's a lot of really great sleazy rock and roll bands coming out in Sweden and places like that. Some really talented bands, but unfortunately, that style of music has been so lost that it's never going to break anything like what the Crue did. They may put out, there's a lot of bands that I love from overseas that have 15, 20 albums to their credit, but they're never going to have that career that the Crue did, because it's not the same time, it's not the same generation, and people who loved hair bands then don't listen to bands who are still putting out hair band style music. They just don't do it. For whatever the reason, that genre here in the state has died, but is strong overseas.
And a lot of people are going to be pissed off at me when I say this. The only two bands I see on the level in some areas, Crue, as far as the stage show, Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah, they could do it. Avenged is walking a path right between what Motley Crue and Metallica did. Metallica gained a ton of fans and lost a ton of fans with the Black Album, and Hail to the King is pretty much Avenged's equivalent of that.
The other band, as far as the attitude goes, and this is going to piss everyone off, but Black Veil Brides have the Motley Crue attitude. They really do. And you know what? I hate them, but it's true.
But yeah, and you know what? They're writing strong songs, whether you like them or not. The music is actually pretty decent, and they absolutely have the attitude. They are mirroring what the Crue did.
Even visually.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, down to the subtlest nuance, they're really reliving what the Crue did. They're trying to rehash that. And like I said, there's a lot of bands doing that, but in fact, Black Veil Brides are one of the ones who are really pushing the envelope for that. And trying to bring that back.
Musically, I don't hate them. It's their fans. I mean, I've photographed them. I've shot their show at Rock on Ranch a few years ago, and I was at Warped Tour last year, and oh my God, you need earplugs just for the high school girls and the teenage and the middle school. It's like almost like the Beatles fans in the 50s with those girls screaming in high pitch. It's like it hurt. It's like, God, shut the fuck up back there. Yeah, that's the only reason I don't like them. Musically, I never really liked them until this last album they released. This last album
they're coming into their own. They're young, and they're coming into their own as songwriters. They're another band that every album has gotten progressively stronger.
New Year's Day and In the End are really good songs off of that album. Wretched and Divine, that's the name of the record. It's a concept album. The story's not very strong, but they're still young. So, Hollywood Undead is another band that has that attitude that Motley Crue had. We don't give a shit, we just want to party. They've got that attitude, and they're outstanding. And so, but that wraps up the news portion of the show after a good hour.
Sometimes you get sucked into the subject.
Well, there's so much going on right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, there really is. There really is.
Some of the shows that we've done lately have just been... This year especially has been... It's been short, but the shows this year have been great. I know you did a Amon Amarth last week.
Yeah.
Or was that? Yeah, that was last week. It was a week ago Thursday. Let's talk about that show. Amon Amarth, they did Mayhem last year, Viking metal. One of the best, I don't even know if you'd call them a new metal band, like newer.
No, you know what, they've been around for quite some time. They've been around since the 90s.
They're just now breaking into the U.S. market, though. And,
they have a very devout following. They're really strong band. It was a great show that night. Enslaved and Skeleton Witch did a great job getting things going. Skeleton Witch kicked it off, and they were just awesome. Enslaved, really, really unique band. It's kind of dark. It's kind of moody. There's more than one vocalist. Odd stage presence, the way that they carried themselves, but really, really cool. And Amon, man, from the time Johan Hegg hits the mic, that guy just owns the crowd. They hang on his every word. He dictates their every move. I mean, he's the consummate frontman. The guy's a driving force. The only bummer of that night, the venue where they played is making a lot of upgrades. They were working on a new sound system, and the power kept going out almost a dozen times throughout 3 different bands. And despite that, you know what I mean? The bands actually made light of it. The fans, you could hear the frustration, but the bands made light of it, even making jokes about it, saying things like, "Oh, we're going to play 50% of this next one," or, our next attempt's going to be, they made light of it, and, they would talk to the bands in between. And in fact, Enslaved, when the power went off on them the very first time, they didn't miss a beat. Their drummer just kicked right into a drum solo, because you could still hear the drums echoing through the venue, even without mics or anything. So he just pounded out the drum solo till the power came back up. But, a dozen times for any band, hell, during Amon Amarth, they came out for 2 songs for the encore, and power went off 2 times. But they continued to persevere and press on, and the fans got into it, and they kept the fans keeping light. There were a few what the fuck chants, whenever it would happen, but they pressed on and got a really, really good show out of it, and it was a great time. Everybody, other than the power outages complaining, it was, wow, great performance.
Nice
small venue too, which makes it even better. You know what I mean? Amon doesn't hit the states all the time, so to see him in a stripped down setting like Mr. Smalls from the Mayhem Festival was just awesome. It was up close, it was personal. You were right there. You could feel and feed off of that energy. It was outstanding. Place was packed in. You could barely move. Somehow the swell managed to split that place from like the first notes of Amon's set. Man, the pit just opened up. It was small. It was maybe 5-6 feet across, but there was 5 people in there just beating the hell out of one another. You know what I mean? The place was packed, but it was fun. It was great. Really good show, man.
Nice. You also checked out the Red Dragon Cartel record. Which was very, very strong effort. For fans of early Jake, if they're going to go in there wanting to hear the next Ultimate Sin album or the next Bark at the Moon or even a Badlands reunion, it's not the album for you. But if you really enjoy Jake's playing and you want to hear it with a nice melodic twist, really exploring more than just one style or genre. I mean, there's some songs there that border on metal and other ones that are just almost straight up bluesy kind of things. It's really him running the gamut, but the playing is strong, and Jake has a very distinct picking style. It's kind of like when you hear Fear Factory. It's Dino because he plays that, he triple picks everything. Well, Jake has a very similar picking style
now. When you hear him pick, you know it's Jake, so you can hear him coming through on everything. But there's so many nice elements to it. The songs are very strong. The production is excellent, and it gives it just a really great melodic feel. Just a very, very strong album. I recommend it to not just rock and roll fans, not just Jakey Lee fans or Badland fans or Ozzy fans. If you're a fan of good, heavy, melodic rock and roll, it's a great album. You got to give it a try.
Awesome. I had a chance to check out the new Guardian album, Almost Home.
That has to be outstanding. I gave it a listen myself and very much enjoyed it.
It is, I think Guardian fans are a lot like Bride fans, where Bride fans expect everything to be Snakes on the Playground. Guardian fans expect everything to be Fire and Love, or Miracle Mile. And you can't expect a band that's been around as long as Guardian to stay to the sound of one album. It's not going to happen. They're going to evolve, and they're going to release different stuff. Almost Home has an almost blues rock feel to it. It's interesting, especially...
Yeah, it was somewhere, it kind of reminded me of something similar between Buzz and Bottle Rocket, but not even exactly that.
Yeah, it's nowhere close to Fire and Love at all.
No, that's stylistically, it's entirely different.
Some of it even has an almost country-ish feel to it.
There's a couple songs on there that had some of the more bluesy elements of, say, Miracle Mile, but very little of it. Yeah. I mean, this is a true evolution for them. This is them just taking their next step in their songwriting.
Boom She Has, that first track is outstanding. I mean, it starts off with that almost bluegrass intro with with everything, and then it just explodes into the rock. That it shows that they still got it. And Jamie Rowe's voice is, you can't even tell it's been as long as it has been for Guardian.
No.
It's
his voice and his rasp actually, I think, ages like a fine wine.
Yeah,
it just gets better with time.
I think that him getting back into shape has helped his voice out a lot.
Extremely.
Anytime you take care of your body right, everything about just like Brent from Shinedown, he did Insanity, and he's lost so much weight. His voice improved. And it's
definitely. He on Amaryllis, he really found a whole nother range, almost another octave to his performance.
Yeah, it's but then towards the end of the record with Almost Home, they go into that rock sound that we love from Guardian. So it's got something from every Guardian era in it.
Oh, it does.
In some way. I don't know how they managed to touch on everything they've ever done, but they did, and it's outstanding.
You think that was a conscious effort to try to make it encompass a little bit of everything so that every Guardian fan could relate to it on some level?
I think that when they announced that they were going to be releasing a new album, they did it on Kickstarter, obviously, which a lot of bands are doing. I think that when they announced it, and since it's been so long since they released, I think Bottle Rocket was the last real studio album they released. I think, and they've got fans that like everything. I don't know if it was really conscious. I think they probably wanted to show this may be the last Guardian album that gets released, potentially. There's a very good chance with where all of them are in life. So I think that maybe it's just a good potentially last chapter, and they wanted to touch on everything they've ever done. So yeah, I guess it probably was a conscious effort. We'd probably have to ask Jamie about that. But if I had to say, it sounds very conscious, and it was done well.
Extremely well executed, and like you say, it has a nice range, a nice span. There's a little something on there for everybody. It's a good album.
Yeah, another one I had a chance to check out was For Today, the new album, Fight the Silence, which anytime you hear For Today, you know you're about to get your ass kicked in every way.
Indeed.
Not just going to the show, just listening to them. It's
to quote Robin Williams, brace yourself, Effie.
Exactly. If you have asthma, have your inhaler with you, because you're gonna be short of breath, and it's gonna beat the shit out of you. But what I like about For Today is, even with how heavy they are, their message is always like super strong. They have a really strong message in everything they do. Fight the Silence isn't an exception. But what I liked about it is that it's more melodic. It's as heavy it was, but they had more singing to it. So there's a lot of clean vocals on it, which is awesome because they evolved and they really matured into almost a different band. It's really cool to hear. So anyone that likes For Today, check out Fight the Silence because it kicks ass. It's probably the best thing they've released yet, and I was a huge fan of Breaker. But,
you know, and it's definitely the most melodic. And the melody, but you would think might actually kind of scale back the heaviness, but I think it actually added another element of heaviness to it, finding that more melodic side to themselves.
Yeah. They really took they took a big step of faith. Funny choice of words for Today, but they took a big step of faith releasing the title track as the lead single because no one has heard that type of singing from the band yet. And when you, just like when Korn released Never Never as the lead single for the Paradigm Shift, a lot of fans were like, this is so different. It was the same with For Today. That song is so different from everything they've ever released that, a lot of fans may not have liked it, but if they give the record a chance to listen to it, you've got the old For Today on there, just with a little bit of new elements. It's really cool. I also had a chance to check out the Stone Sour and Pop Evil tour that's going on right now. They were in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at Pierre's, which is the best venue I've ever been to. And Stone Sour was super strict on that show. I was the only press person approved for that show that I know of, so I was the only one I saw. They wouldn't let... They had to have Stone Sour's tour manager approve for me to go backstage with a member of Stolen Babies for an interview. I had to interview Chachi from Pop Evil in the balcony during sound check. It was extremely strict. I had to be escorted in and out of the photo pit. It was insane, but Corey Taylor put on a good show as always. Pop Evil is really coming to their own live. They kicked it off with Deal with the Devil, which was a huge curveball, but they put on a hell of a show. And then obviously Stone Sour, anytime you got Corey Taylor, you're going to get a good show. But he did a Love Gun cover by Kiss, which was actually better than Kiss.
Oh, I'm quite sure.
Sorry, Gene.
And Kiss, because I grew up on them, and they were my favorite band as a 12-year-old boy, but it doesn't take much to be stronger than Kiss these days.
Yeah. It was... even his impression of Paul Stanley to introduce the song was amazing.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
Yeah, it was just an all-around great show. I mean, it was sold out, so you had about 1,400 people in a club. Packed. It was about -3 outside, and when you opened the door, you could just see the steam come piling out of the building. It was good. The roads on the way to the show were emergency drive only, so we were, driving really slow, and we actually saw a couple accidents happen, which was interesting, but it was a great show. If you have a chance to check out Stone Sour and Pop Evil on this tour, definitely go to it. Stolen Babies are actually outstanding on this tour. They're really good. So definitely check them out too. Get there early. Support the openers. Sometimes
please support the openers.
Sometimes you'll get
your favorites aren't going to be around forever, and if you want a new generation of bands to turn to, you got to support them.
That's how I
see the openers.
That's how I discovered Otherwise. We got there early and saw them open for Stone Sour and Papa Roach, and we're like, oh my god! And Otherwise is amazing. You'll find a lot of good bands if you go and check out the openers. Because not all openers suck. Just some.
No, not at all. Sometimes you actually leave really pleasantly surprised, and I've left many a shows over my 30 years in concert going with new CDs in my hand or new vinyl or whatever it was at the time because I was so blown away.
And let's face it, no one listens to rock radio. If everyone out there who bitches about rock radio that doesn't listen to it, that also the real rock radio, because some cities have good rock radio, and those are the same people that probably don't go to the show early to catch the openers. When your favorite bands retire, how are you going to know who the new bands are to check out? If you don't listen to rock radio, you don't listen to Octane, you don't listen to Sirius, you don't listen to Liquid Metal, you don't go to a show early, you go to the rock festivals to see one band, how are you going to find a new band? You're not going to.
And most people don't realize that there are really, really talented bands in their own backyard, in their own city. And you know what? If you get in with these bands while they're small and you become a regular and a fan to them, when these bands become huge, and it's within the realm of possibility, when they're coming back and playing places like the Console, if you were one of the guys who were originally on board, you might find yourself backstage as a VIP because you actually got in on the ground floor of something great.
Exactly. And yeah, there's so many good bands out there in Pittsburgh. There's there's a million good bands out here in Indianapolis. And where I'm from in Iowa, there are a lot of good bands out there, whether it's 20-Foot Forehead or whatever. Good
there's tons of them there everywhere you go, man. There's great music being created. People, you got to support it. And like you say, the classics are going to be here forever. You got to support the next generation.
And people have got to stop judging a band based on their name. Because if you're going to do that,
that's ridiculous.
You're never going to find a band like Pop Evil. You're never going to find a band like Otherwise. I mean, let's face it, those two band names aren't great band names.
But they're amazing bands.
But let's face it, Papa Roach is a horrible band name. Stone Sour, that band name is pretty bad. I mean, you know, who names a band Slipknot? You know, I mean, come on. I mean, don't judge a band based on
there's some metal bands out there with some really, really drab names who are putting on some amazing stuff.
Pop Evil being one of them. One of the best live bands you'll ever see. I mean, it's like a detonator goes off when they break into their set. I mean, it's insane. So yeah, but there's also a bunch of great records coming out between now and the end of the year. Even over the next couple. I mean, just in March itself, Overkill's got one coming out March 4th. Got the Pretty Reckless on March 17th. Memphis May Fire on March 25th. Ashanti,
Mice and Men, I believe, had one.
Yeah, Mice and Men actually had their highest charting debut of their career with number 4 with this last record, which is an outstanding album. We will have a review of that up soon. Mice and Men, that's a great record. Metallica just released, for sale today, the rehearsal version of One with Lang Lang from the Grammys. So that's actually available for purchase on iTunes right now. So make sure you
Cool.
Make sure you.
And they're rumored to maybe get something out later this year.
Yeah, there's dueling reports. Half the band is saying this year, half of it's saying next year. So there's a very good chance Tool and Metallica are working on the exact same album, because we don't know when either band's coming out with a record.
Yeah.
So
they're saying it's coming, but there's nothing definitive whatsoever.
Metallica's been saying for a couple of years that the record was coming, and it still hasn't yet. So I mean, who knows? But I mean, there's
so many other ones that are coming, though, man. I mean, April's shaping up to be great.
March 1st alone, we got Lacuna Coil, Chevelle, Steel Panther, and The Used in one day.
You gotta.
Chevelle's got a lot to live up to with coming off of Hats Off to the Bull. Lacuna Coil's got a lot to live up to coming off of Dark Adrenaline. Steel Panther, I mean, it's
the fans who love them, you know what I mean? It's a happy-go-lucky. That's one of those bands you either love or hate. Yeah. And if you love them, you're going to love it. So
the people that hate Steel Panther, the main reason they say is they're a joke. But that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. That is their thing. Yeah, the music is fantastic. It doesn't matter what ridiculousness they're spewing. The music is great. Come on, give me a break. That's good, solid rock and roll. That's
as close to 80s glam metal being big as you'll ever get, because they
right there. Yeah, they're leading the way, man. Exactly. There's no other band doing that who's getting the popularity they are right now.
We've also got James Durbin coming out with the record. I know he's not really the rock that we normally cover, but I mean, he was on rock.
You know what, the last album, I listened to it, there was a couple songs on there I enjoyed, and he does have a solid backing band. Hell, he's got half of it in this moment.
The way I look at it, anybody who can play one of the, whether it's Rock on the Range or Rebellion or any of those, anybody who can get on those is worthy of being called rock. You're not going to see Imagine Dragons, you're not going to see the Lumineers or Mumford & Sons, you know, or Group Love or any of those shitty bands. They're not shitty, it's just they're not rock.
No.
You're not going to see them on a rock festival. Anybody who says they're rock, put them on a real rock festival and see what happens. Guarantee they'll get booed off stage and their fans will get jumped. Seven Dust has the acoustic record coming out April 15th. Time Travelers and Bonfires is what it looks like the name is.
Yeah.
Adelita's Way is supposed to be coming out with one this spring. 6 a.m. is supposedly coming out with one this year. That's a highly anticipated record as well.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the last record, you know, This Is Gonna Hurt, the date had to be moved up because fans wanted it so bad. So it looks like Nikki Sixx is going to be just fine after Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, he'll be just fine. Yeah, man, there's lots more coming too. We got Black Label going to be putting out something soon.
Down.
Down's going to be putting out something soon. Anthrax is in the studio working. Machine Head has announced that they're in the writing process and is going to have something soon.
Flyleaf and Exodus are working on some stuff right now. Maiden is... Judas Priest is supposed to be coming out.
Is working.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got the Foo Fighters with a new one. Don't forget, that's never forget Miss Lizzie Hale. Hailstorms in the studio. That's going to be something great. Supposedly, we got some new ones coming from In Flames this year.
Yes.
New Opeth, some new Cannibal Corpse,
Theory of the Dead Man.
Some new Demon Hunters, some more Darkest Hour. Supposedly a new Godsmack, maybe a new Linkin Park, some new Mastodon, possibly, hopefully, some Slipknot, maybe.
Yes.
Nightwish is supposed to put out another one. Gojira is in the works. So, I mean, all kinds of stuff coming down the pike. Man.
For some reason, Saliva is re-releasing In It To Win It with a new album name and
a few different tracks.
Songs. Not sure why they're doing that, but they are. More power to them if they can make this work. They've hired a new PR firm. They got a new record with a new single, and they even have a new singer after Josie left. He was on In It To Win It, but he's on this one too.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah.
Which he's a great
vocalist. He did a good job. Yeah, you know what? I love Josie Scott. He is and always will be Saliva to me. But in all honesty, Josie's voice was never that great.
Yeah,
and that's not meant as a slam because the guy's he writes an amazing song. He's a great performer. Love the guy. It's my wife's favorite musician. My house is loaded with stuff of theirs. But he wasn't the greatest singer. Bobby's actually a better singer.
And saying that somebody's a bad vocalist or not a great singer isn't a bad. Rob Zombie is not a great singer.
No, and neither is Ozzy Osbourne.
Rob Halford, great singer. Ozzy, bad singer. Zombie, bad singer.
Kurt Cobain, terrible singer, but regarded extremely highly.
Gene Simmons, terrible singer. So you can be successful and you can be a good musician and a good singer without being a good singer.
That's right.
Bobby sounds like Josie if Josie had a good voice, because Bobby resembles Josie a lot in a lot of those songs. You know, if you sit down and listen to it, you'll forget that it's a new singer, because it will sound like Josie in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not a bad thing. I'm intrigued to see what this Rise Up album is. We can skip through a lot of the songs, because we've all heard In It To Win It, but the new songs, I want to see what they are.
Yeah, and you know what? The song Rise Up, when I listened to In It To Win It, that was the song that grabbed me the most the first listen. The problem with me for that song was it was so similar to Raise Up from I forget which album that was, the one with the radio on the cover.
Every 6 seconds. Oh, Back Into Your System.
Back Into Your System, yeah. It reminded me too much of Raise Up.
She Can Sure Hide Crazy and Redneck Freak Show were the two that jumped out to me the most. Animal was good, but Redneck Freak Show, that's the one that jumped out to me mainly because I would expect that from Hinder.
Yeah. Stylistically, you're right on the money there. It's very similar.
I mean, if you had Theory of a Dead Man, Hinder, and Saliva go on tour together, you would get pretty much the same set from all three bands. None of them really sing about anything really worth singing about. I mean, with Theory, Low Life, and The Bitch Came Back, and Bad Girlfriend, they're not really about anything worth singing about. They're just party songs. Yeah. And that's what Redneck Freak Show is for Saliva. It's their party song. So that's what I think. But we'll see what Rise Up is like. Regardless, we've got a lot of great albums coming out this year. Not as many good ones as last year, but last year we were on music overload from bands. But there's still a few really good things coming this way. Oh, and I almost forgot about Devin Townsend. Devin's got like 3 or 4 different things coming down the pike this year. Devin always has 2 or 3 or 4 different things coming.
Yeah, he's saying he's going to do another Devin Townsend project this year. He's going to be doing the Ziltoid movie. He's got like 2 albums worth of stuff for Ziltoid, for the Ziltoid musical project. He's just got all kinds of things going on. The latest interview I read with him in Metal Hammer, he's got just things going crazy this year.
Wow. Well,
I guess that's what happens when you're a literal schizophrenic who's got so much going on in his head that you don't know what to do with all of it.
Right.
You create.
We've got a couple vents and things that we need to air out. I know that you've got one in particular that you really want to get off your chest, maybe a couple. It's all yours.
All right, man. For me, the biggest thing that's been in my crawl these days is whenever you go out to a show, the way that the show is handled, the way that the production is handled, the sound, the way that the press is handled, some things are just getting out of hand. There's quite a few venues in Pittsburgh here, and I won't mention any names because they know who they are. But, there's places who are changing their venue up, making it look nicer, but they're not focusing their energy on where it needs to be. As beautiful as your establishment is, if you can't keep the power on, people aren't going to want to come by. The premier club in Pittsburgh, it knows who it is too, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You guys host some of the biggest shows that come through this town, and your sound system is just not adequate. The music is always fine, but the vocals constantly get lost in your establishment. And it's a shame because it's up close, it's personal, all the really strong, heavier bands are coming through there. You guys have a proper press pit, which makes our job easier. You're set up right, but your sound is bad. A show that I did just last month at a venue that used to be one of the premier clubs in the 90s. It changed ownership and kind of turned more into a dance club. And because of that, the sound system has been changed to be more conducive for a dance club environment. And they're now starting to put on shows again, and when the shows go on there, the sound is just abysmal. Everything gets lost in a very poor mix, and the lighting is totally inadequate at this place. They stripped the lighting down so that it's just the lighting on the ceiling for when people are dancing. When the bands were playing, there was very, very little, almost minimal to none forward lighting. Trying from a press standpoint to shoot in that kind of environment where everything is backlit, causing forward shadows, and the place is filled with too much smoke, too much dim red lighting, it's a nightmare from a press standpoint. There's a few venues here in Pittsburgh that host really, really big shows, but just aren't set up to do them right. And it's also frustrating when you get there from a press standpoint, whenever they're doing ridiculous things like telling you can only shoot one song for a band, or they're rotating you in and out 3 at a time, and you're missing some of the best stuff. You're standing there on the sidelines waiting your turn. Some of this great stuff's happening when you should be in there for those first 3, and you're being rotated out. It's frustrating. You miss a lot. All these clubs, if you're going to do this, please do it right, not just for me from a press standpoint. Do it to the fans who are paying their hard-earned money to go there and get a good mix. These bands are capable of it. They're professional. Your equipment is not letting them do their job, and it's just sad. The fans deserve better, and from a working standpoint, I really wish you guys would get your shit together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's mine, man. Just, venues and PR companies and stuff, just handling things badly. It's sad whenever you communicate an email to somebody about a show that night and they assure you that everything's great and you show up and there's problems at the window. It's just unprofessional.
Yeah, I had something similar with a show recently. It wasn't unprofessional. The show was a major traveling tour, and it was put on very well. The lighting was outstanding. The sound was great. It was at an arena, obviously, so, I mean, you're going to get the best of the best. The way it was put on was not, to me, for a rock writer's point of view, was not put on the best or organized very well. Especially in a time where, in the rock world, we're trying to prove to the world, basically the world, that we're still good, that we're still relevant. It was a major Christian tour, and they had one of the best up and coming Christian bands in the business. We As Human opened the show, and they gave them 12 minutes on stage. There was 4 songs. Normally, when We As Human opens a show, they get 6. Their debut is 10 songs long, so 6 of 10. That's great. This one, they got to play 3.5, which was just, to me, a travesty. It was highway robbery. In between each band, there was a speaker, which is cool. But in between every band for 20 minutes, it takes away from the music to the point that each band only got maybe 4 songs, 20 minutes on stage, which is just ridiculous. Granted, there was 9 bands, but still, they should get more than 15 to 20 minutes on stage. You know, the speakers, they would try to sell Bible software to you. There was a university in attendance sponsoring the show, and so they got a lot of time on stage, obviously trying to recruit high schoolers and people out of college to go to their college. They said they would fly anybody who wanted out to the college in Phoenix, stay on campus for a couple days for free to check it out, which is cool. But we heard this about 5 times. You know, it takes away from the music. It's a concert and people came for music, not to hear speakers, not to get sold stuff, and not to hear about a college. They took an offering, which is cool. It's a Christian show, and the tickets were $10 cash at the door for an arena. They got to pay the bands. They got to pay their staff. It's cool. But the worship band got as much time on stage as the opening bands. And the worship band was the worship band from the college. They should not get as much time as an actual Christian recording artist should.
Yeah, when a local opener gets more time than someone who's actually on the tour, there's something wrong.
Well, they were on the tour because they were with the college, and the college was from Phoenix. So it's cool, but still, it's a worship band doing a worship song during offering. I've been to church. A worship band plays maybe 2 songs. They don't play 3 or 4. You know, they don't take a half an hour. And then what really got me was Skillet headlined it, and with how long Skillet's been around, with how big they are, they're platinum-selling artists. They have numerous #1 hits. They have numerous hits. Everyone came to see them. To give them 40 minutes, and to only give them 8 songs,
that's sickening.
took so much away from their set. I mean, their set was so...
Headliners don't go on the road to play for 40 minutes.
Right. And granted, they've got a big year ahead of them. They have a big spring tour coming up with Third Day that they're about to do. It's cool. They probably appreciated having a shorter set to kick off the year, you know, to get warmed up. And I get that, and it's cool. But there were so many songs that got cut out. And if there would have just been 2 less speakers, they could have gotten 2 more songs in. You know, fans could have gotten Comatose. Or they could have gotten Yours to Hold, or, you know, they could have gotten It's Not Me, It's You. Third Day, who was co-headlining, could have gotten another song or 2. It's a Christian tour, and we all expect to get, you know, preached at. We all expect prayer. You know, at Christian shows, you know going in that you're going to get told about Compassion International sponsoring a child in Haiti. You know you're going to get that, and it's cool, because we should do that. And you get that when you watch TV, even. It's a big deal. But for a headliner to get 40 minutes, maybe 45, for We As Human, insane, who bands like Filter give 6 or 7 songs to kick it off and only get 12 minutes on stage, it was a slap in the face, and it was almost like something the Grammys would do, to me, in my eyes. It was frustrating. But, you know, anybody that came for the other bands, besides We As Human or Skillet, they probably feel the same way because, you know, everyone else got 15 minutes. And, you know, if you came for Jamie Grace or Andy Mineo or Royal Taylor or whatever, you know, you probably feel the same way because you only got to see him for maybe 4 songs. But it was still a great show, very well put on. And Andy Mineo, he's a Christian rapper. He did Harlem Shake and brought everyone that paid VIP meet and greet tickets on stage for it. So, I mean, it was a good show. It just, some things could have been done differently. But speaking of Skillet, to wrap it up, we're currently on the Front Row Report Facebook page, running a huge giveaway right now. If you like Skillet, if you like We As Human, if you like Christian music, or even if you don't, but you like Skillet, we're giving away a chance to win 2 VIP meet and greet tickets. So you can meet Skillet, you can meet We As Human, you can meet any of these bands. We're also giving away 4 normal tickets to the show in Indianapolis, Indiana, February 28th. The lineup is Skillet, We As Human, Third Day, Peter Furler, who is the lead singer of the Newsboys for like 20 years, Jamie Grace. It's going to be a great show. Even if you're not into Christian music, you're going to get a great show from Skillet. I can guarantee they'll play more than 40 minutes. There's 5 bands. They'll play for a good hour or so, which that's all we can ask of. But if you want to win a chance to go to the show for free and even meet the bands, all you have to do is go to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/The Front Row Report. We have a photo poster of the show. All you have to do is share that post, like that post, or like the Front Row Report Facebook page. Any of those things will get you entered for a chance to win a ticket to the show and a chance to meet the band. We'll run the contest until February 23rd. February 23rd, 24th, we will stop the giveaway, and we will message each individual person who wins a ticket. So make sure you go to that page, like it, share the post, enter a chance to win free meet and greet tickets, and enjoy the show. And we'll be there. I'll be there, so make sure you find me, and we'd love to meet you. And on that note, thank you for tuning into the Rock Rebellion. Hope you've had a good new year. Hope you're getting some great rock music out there. Look for some great reviews from the Front Row Report, interviews, and all that good stuff. We'll see you later.